me? Why don't they just let me live?
From child star to Twilight phenomenon, few actresses have made quite such a sudden rise as Kristen Stewart. Here we look at this intriguing movie star's top moments.
She has the kind of beauty that you think maybe only you've noticed, which I think is a very powerful thing in an actor.
I think Kristen Stewart is quite a divisive star because she doesn't really play the fame game. She's kind of unpolished.
I do feel a bit of sympathy for her. I think for want of a better term, she's a bit misunderstood.
That room, the panic room. No, you gotta press emergency stop.
Kristen got into the acting game very early, although it wasn't exactly her intention.
It wasn't ever something that I sought after or made a conscious decision. This is what I want to do. I want to be an actress. I was forced to be in a play because everyone had to participate in the 4th grade, and there was an agent in the audience, and he just asked if we wanted representation.
She soon found herself starring opposite fellow former child star Jodie Foster in Panic Room, a movie about a mother and a daughter who panic and go into a room.
Kristen Stewart definitely has acting in her blood. Her family are involved in the film industry. She was surrounded by that as a child, and so I think she kind of really took to it like a duck to water.
Actually, Kristen Stewart's background is rather more down-to-earth than you might think. Her parents all worked in the film industry, not as stars, but as sort of production assistants and so on. And so she sort of grew up knowing that world and feeling one of the crew, really. I don't think she ever set out to be a huge star.
Want a pizza?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Our first night, I should have thought of something special.
I like pizza.
I watched Panic Room again recently, and I was very struck with her performance. Obviously, I'd remembered her character as being sort of much more of a teenager, and I was really shocked to discover, I think she was only 12 when the movie came out, so possibly even younger when she made it. But she's already playing this kind of slightly surly, stroppy kind of adolescent character that we kind of get to see more of in her later films.
Panic Room, yeah, it's a David Fincher film, actually. It's really interesting, one of his kind of lesser remembered films. It's a nice little thriller, actually. It's quite tight, and she's very good. I mean, it's one of those films where you can look back and go, well, that's Kristen Stewart, isn't it? She's perfectly good, and she's quite likeable, actually, in it. There isn't really a signal of the girl to come, but I think in hindsight, it's kind of interesting for fans of her now to watch.
She was a great choice for Jodie Foster because she genuinely looks like her daughter. She was quite a tough little figure. They're obviously trapped in this horrible little room while there are robbers in their house, and she plays a diabetic who goes into a hyper and enacts this scene very well with her toes curling up and her head sort of thrashing back against the floor. And I think she was noticed for that.
Lisa!
Oh, away!
Lisa, you gotta get up.
What's the rule about being in my room?
Not allowed in unless it's an emergency.
And what's the emergency?
There's a meteor shower and everything got wrecked.
Kristen went on to appear in many other movies in her childhood, including Cold Creek Manor and the family movie Zathura.
Oh no.
Yeah, what do we do?
It's already dark. I'm gonna be so late.
It's not outer space. It's all Saturday outside.
It's a fantasy adventure movie about this family, these two boys, these brothers who play a game and get sent up into space, and it's about them trying to get back.
She's a tomboy. She was a tomboy in most of her early movies and still is. All sort of grunge and long-sleeve T-shirts with another T-shirt over the top.
Hey.
I think Mom's in the back if you want to say hi.
Do I have to?
Having starred as the daughter of multi-Oscar winning actress Jodie Foster, Kristen then had another multi-Oscar winner play her dad in the Hollywood satire What Just Happened.
She was in What Just Happened, which was a satire on being a producer, a fading producer in Hollywood, by the guy who made The Untouchables and Fight Club. And Robert De Niro plays that part.
What Just Happened was this adaptation of Art Linson's book about being a producer in Hollywood. She does have a fantastic scene with Robert De Niro in it, where she is at the funeral of this guy. She's wearing a tie that belonged to the man, and Robert De Niro is suddenly realising that his daughter, knew this guy quite well, and is really you can see his mind sort of spiralling as to exactly what kind of nature of the relationship was. It's a really nice scene in the movie.
I didn't know you know Jack. Do you know him?
Yeah, I knew him.
How?
Well, it's really not the time.
Was that Ty Jax?
Kristen was regularly appearing in different movies at this time, including Into the Wild, The Messengers, and Jumper. But then the adaptation of Twilight came along, and director Catherine Hardwicke was looking for someone to take on the role of Bella Swan.
Twilight is just, I think it will be remembered for years to come as a classic of the teen genre. The first one actually just taps into all those teen themes so well. It's set in this sort of moody Pacific Northwest where it rains all the time.
So you're enjoying the rain?
Before Twilight came along, she hadn't really registered, as much as... So when she got the role, everyone was like, who's going to play Bella, who's going to play Bella? It was a little bit of, who?
Twilight was destined to become a film smash because it already had a legion of fans who loved the book and who were huge Stephenie Meyer fans, and it just has this very compelling love story and also this love triangle between the wolf, the vampire, and the human girl. So it was really just a case of finding the right actors, and then it was just always going to be an incredible hit.
I mean, when Summit optioned the material, Twilight was already becoming a phenomenon in book form. Certainly by the time they cast the film, by the time they made the film and released the film, it was evident it was going to be a huge thing.
I know what I saw.
What exactly was that?
You stopped the van. You pushed it away with your hand.
Well, nobody's gonna believe you.
I think Catherine Hardwicke, although she made the first film and she didn't return, she made a fantastic contribution to the franchise. Because she was the one, of course, who did the casting at the beginning, and I think she got it perfectly right. With that movie, that was the absolute key thing that they had to get right, and I think they did.
I like watching you sleep. It's just kind of fascinating to me.
In the first installment, there was just Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart sort of heavily breathing in each other's area. Like, there was not a lot of, there was a lot of sexual tension that was almost hilarious, but perfect for the teenage audience. And then, as things progressed, there was, more action. There was a lot more going on, so I'm definitely a fan of the later installments.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody who reads the book sort of projects themselves onto Bella. You experience the whole story through her eyes. She has sort of innately really awesome female qualities. She really trusts herself and goes with gut instincts and doesn't really get too caught up in the head. She's strong, man.
Despite Kristen's best efforts to defend Twilight's leading lady, a lot of people felt that Bella's character was a little annoying, and Kristen bared the brunt of the Bella backlash.
Bella, we shouldn't be friends.
You really should have figured that out a little earlier.
The problem with Bella is that she is incredibly mopey for most of the movies, and I think that the audience had a real sort of struggle relating to her. So she can seem a little bit infuriating.
I'm not a huge fan of Bella as a character. I do find her quite infuriating. And she's just always dithering between these two guys, and all the love scenes I find to be a bit schmaltzy. But you know what? I think Kristen Stewart is doing the best with what she's got.
I don't think it's really Kristen Stewart's fault that she comes across a bit mopey and annoying. I think it's part and parcel of the world it presents. She has to be misunderstood, quiet, permanently upset, because that's the world that the audience is coming from.
Bella is quite an infuriating character because she, not only has she no sense of humour for at least the first couple of films until she starts to take on the darker powers, not only is she sulky and seems to puff and huff for about 10 seconds before answering any line that's asked of her.
Say it.
Vampire.
Hi, I'm James Brennan. I just started.
Oh, nice to meet you. Sucks you're gonna lose your job your second day, James.
After becoming an overnight star with the success of Twilight, Kristen made a sudden change of pace as she chose to appear in independent film Adventureland, along with Jesse Eisenberg.
I played I played the girl in the movie, as ridiculous as that sounds. Jesse's character comes back from college and gets a really crappy job at a theme park and finds someone sort of as miserable and smart as him. And it's about, especially my character, doesn't usually have a whole lot of fun, have fun for a summer and open up, and they're very complicated, so it all sort of crumbles at the end because they just can't. It's like smart people can't deal with life.
I was hanging out with your boyfriend earlier. He's in love with you. What? He said, quote, I think I'm in love with her.
Adventureland is a lovely, sweet little movie that didn't really find an audience at the time. But it's one of the times when actually you can see a very kind of attractive personality emerge.
Yeah, I really liked Kristen Stewart's performance in Adventureland. I just thought it was generally quite a funny film. It had the super bad director, and it had Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Wiig and Ryan Reynolds, and it was a great cast, ensemble cast, and she definitely held her own amongst them.
She's kind of a little bit kind of Bella-ish, I suppose, in it. But somehow she's very kind of attractive in it, and she has kind of, the intelligence comes out, and the kind of rather melancholy spirit is used well within it. I think it's a little gem, actually, Adventureland.
There's this amazing scene where she forces him to go swimming in a pool and they've got their clothes on. There's real romance in these little pinpricks of happiness in this quite grim setting.
To my mind, it's kind of the opposite of what Twilight does. If Twilight is all very fraught and overly romantic, there's something quite nicely subtle about what Adventureland gives you.
Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, Kristen hits the road with Jack Kerouac and becomes a star of the red carpet. Welcome back to Movie Star's Top Moments, where today we're covering the ups and downs of Kristen Stewart. Now an established star, Kristen decided to unleash her inner rock chick by portraying Joan Jett alongside Dakota Fanning in The Runaways.
Well, initially I knew it was I saw the part and it said Joan Jett, and then I saw the title and it said The Runaways, and I didn't know that. I didn't know what The Runaways was. And I then found out that they were the first girls to ever pick up their own instruments and play that kind of music, and I wondered why I didn't know about them. And then I met Joan and realized that, I don't know, it's just really a story worth being told, and it was fun.
I didn't have any preconceived notions about Twilight or anything like that, and we got a chance to meet, and I thought she was just a really authentic, real person who wanted to do the right thing with this role. And when I asked her if she was going to cut her hair, and she said, yeah. And I thought, I felt good about it.
I thought she did an incredible job as Joan Jett. She just really fully embodied the character. She looked like her. She had that kind of attitude. You sort of sense that Joan Jett isn't that dissimilar as a character to Kristen Stewart herself. So I didn't think it was much of a stretch for her to play this sort of rebellious rock star girl.
I heard a story that Joan Jett was on set actually coaching Kristen to be more like her, and that they came to blows and there were tears. I thought that was interesting. Like, what other rock biopic does the rock star actually get there on set and teach them how to act like them?
I gave her tapes of me talking from when I was 14. I had sort of a Maryland, Pennsylvania draw. Just sort of things to give her a backstory so she would know who Joan is, and not the Joan Jett sort of black hair, makeup. You need to get a little bit deeper than that. And so, we just spent some time trying to get there.
Yeah, I think Joan Jett was a fun role for her to play. It was something different. She's got a great look in the film. She's got, really sexy leather trousers. She's got this kind of great make-out session with Dakota Fanning. I think it was definitely a really fun kind of teenage movie.
I can see why she took the role. Again, it was right in the midst of the Twilight thing. And it's a chance to go completely the opposite way, is to kind of go very rock and roll, kind of drugs, sex, the whole thing, very un-Twilight in its own way.
Time to move on to the top film you probably haven't seen. Now, every movie star has some great films that for one reason or another didn't find a large audience. In Kristen's case, it's Welcome to the Rileys, where she starred alongside James Gandolfini and Melissa Leo. Oh, and she played a prostitute. But this was not exactly Pretty Woman.
So $100 a day and you just live at my house?
Yep.
So you'll be my sugar daddy? You know what that is?
Kinda.
I think everybody was pretty surprised because it was so against type. It was so indie, and you know, you don't expect a sort of teenage pinup to suddenly turn around and do this kind of edgy role. But she really carried it off with aplomb. You know, she threw herself into it. She did the whole pole dancing lessons, but also, you know, managed to really get to the emotional grit of the character.
God damn it, Doug, please don't be mad at me.
I'm not mad at you.
You're acting like you're mad at me.
No, I'm not acting like I'm mad at you. Now, sit down.
Welcome to the Rileys was one of her more explosive roles. She does have this sort of glacial sense of restraint, or call it sulkiness or restraint a lot of the time. And in Welcome to Riley, she played a call girl who James Gandolfini befriends and has this slightly unrealistic relationship with, whereby he moves into her house and pays her rent and nothing ever happens between them. And it was nice to see her doing something along the lines of what someone like Christina Ricci would have done maybe 10 years ago. It's nice to see her doing those roles where there's a little bit of anger and passion comes out.
Is it not enough just to have a long and happy life with me?
As the sequels to Twilight kept bringing in the fans in droves, all of the Twihards wanted to know if Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart were a couple off-screen as well as on, but for the longest time they wouldn't confirm it.
I'm still puzzling out the decision that they took to never acknowledge the relationship, you know, for years. And was that something that was purely about trying to maintain their privacy, as they maintain, or was it actually something that they were advised to do by Summit to maintain interest?
It's extremely seductive to think that there is a real relationship behind those two. I mean, how often do we really see these things play out successfully as Liz Taylor and Richard Burton and Vivian Leigh and Rex Harrison? You don't see it very often. It usually lasts a couple of months. If you imagine being a teenager watching that, and you know that it's fantasy, you know that it's not real, and then suddenly the most important part of that film, which is the love affair, comes out into real life, jumps out of the screen, and it's there in front of you on the red carpet. And I think that probably is captivating and very inspiring for a lot of young girls, because they think, well, me too then, this can happen, this isn't just a story.
Actually, if you look at Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart since Twilight, it's her who's had the most interest and the most attention on her, and her who's probably had the biggest offers. I mean, she's 22, the highest paid actress in Hollywood in 2011, certainly, and she's a very bankable star. I think it's her who may prove to have the staying power.
After Twilight, Kristen looked as if she had started up another successful franchise with Snow White and the Huntsman. How handy.
Snow White and the Huntsman made a lot of money. Kind of a well sort of managed film from a studio point of view, because it crosses so many quadrants, as they say. You know, there's a bit of Harry Potter in it, there's a bit of kind of Lord of the Rings in it, but there's a bit of Twilight in it. And it kind of becomes a bit bland because of that, but it throws it all there onto the screen with Kristen Stewart as the lead.
Snow White was a great film, and the story of what happened offset rather eclipsed that one. She's a very strong character in that. I never imagined a fairy tale where you've got Snow White in chainmail making her way up to the top of a castle for hand-to-hand combat with Charlize Theron as the wicked stepmother.
Upon its release, it didn't really fare that well with the critics, and, you know, in the wake of the affair, they are going to shoot another one, but Kristen Stewart's not going to be involved, and I doubt Rupert, the director, is going to be involved either.
But although the film did very well, the big news was the shock that Kristen had an affair with its director, and she faced the wrath of the Twihards.
I think Kristen was really unfairly blamed for the fallout from her being photographed kissing her director of Snow White and the Huntsman. But, the public always blames the woman. It's always, she's the actress who seduced this, happily married man. I'm sorry, he's married.
Kristen Stewart's a 22-year-old girl. I don't know what 22-year-old hasn't made mistakes in their love lives. It's just super unfortunate that she is doing it in a goldfish bowl and the whole world is judging her. I couldn't help but feel for her because, you know, she had the wrath of all the Twihards and her boyfriend and Liberty Ross. You know, it was a hard few months for her, I'm sure.
I don't actually think it will harm her too much long term. I hope it doesn't. Everyone deserves a bit of room to make mistakes. Perhaps what she needs to do is lie low for a little while, escape that insane celebrity spotlight, make a few nice indie films, and play to her strengths.
Dean just raised in society. He had just married a 16-year-old chick named Mary Lou.
Having gotten through the scandal and gotten back together with Mr. Pattinson, Kristen is clearly attempting to build up an impressive acting CV. She agreed to appear in the long-awaited adaptation to Kerouac's classic, On the Road, and she decided to go a bit method in preparing for her role.
I took a road trip with two of my girlfriends right before we did the movie, and I had only 3 days, and so we drove all the way to Ohio and back. We went to a show, and disgusting car by the end of it. Really sick, revolting actually. It was so much fun. I think you need to. On the Road was my first favorite book. I literally slapped it on my dashboard when I got my license, and that's not a story that I'm making up. It really is like very, very close to me.
On the Road is another one of those books that, you know, is always, you know, been very tricky to do. They've been talking about making a movie ever since it was published. Francis Ford Coppola was tried to make the movie for many years, couldn't make it work. I think Walter Salazar's version is actually, you know, a perfectly good stab.
I was pretty excited to hear that Kristen Stewart was going to be doing On the Road because, well, I mean, it's a classic book, and how are they going to adapt it to the screen? And, you know, she just plays quite a raw character, and she's very naturalistic in it. So I think she did a great job.
The first thing she does in it is sort of take her top off, really, which is clearly a brave move from someone like Kristen Stewart, but clearly intended to show that I think she's moved on from this sort of kiddie stuff.
Everybody's talking.
Misunderstood or too cool for school? With her sudden rise and all the media circus that has accompanied it, Kristen is that rare star whose off-screen persona is judged just as much as her on-screen performances.
She just isn't that comfortable with being in front of the camera when it's about her as a personality and as a character, whereas when she's playing another character, she really transforms, and that's kind of when she's in her element.
Actually, you have to remember she's very young. She's still only 22, and she's grown up with this huge amount of scrutiny on her. I think most people would find that very difficult to deal with. She seems to deal with it by being fairly taciturn, not giving too much in interviews, but why should we expect that of her?